So last week we were looking at the characteristics of children's music and needs. So we looked at that. What are these characteristics and the needs of children's literature? We had cognitive development. What else? Physical, social, language, emotion, moral development, as well as creative. Okay. So for us to achieve all these things, we need to have books. We need to involve children in reading stories. We need to engage children to retell stories so that they can enhance all those areas of development in children. Without involving them in those areas, then we'll find that children cannot be able to develop in all those aspects. So the teachers and the parents, they should be aware and work in hand so that they should be providing that opportunity for children to be engaged in reading. Parents, they should be able to share stories to their own children as well, so that they can enhance all that overall development in children. So today, we'll look at a session developing reading in children, essential in developing children's reading skills. So introduction on this, introduction to the reading skills. Reading is a crucial skill that forms foundation for future reading. Is this true? This is a skill that forms a future foundation for future learning. How?
For example, reading books, stories, it helps you practice more often than maybe when you're a teacher. For example, as you are learning how to read stories or develop reading skills, it won't be difficult when we start our nursery or preschool.
Okay. So the culture of reading, it depends on how the children were trained at an infancy. If the children were exposed to different books to read, it will also enhance them in the reading in their future, as well as if the children were involved in phonemic awareness, that will also enhance them on the reading skills, because it's the phonics that helps children to learn how to read, not the alphabet. So this we have to know as teachers for early childhood education, that when you are teaching the learners in preschool, we are not supposed to teach alphabet. We need to teach them the phonics, because that's the phonics that enhances children, that will help the child to learn how to read the words. Okay, so we'll see as we go on how we can do this. Understanding the reading skills. Reading skill includes the ability to decode text, understand its meaning, and apply the information. These skills are essential for academic success and personal growth. Early literacy impacts cognitive development, social emotion skills, and language abilities. So we have to know that when we are helping the children to read, we want them to understand the text. We want them to be able to apply the information which is there. So if they are not able to read, they cannot be able to apply the information which is there. So it depends on how the children are trained on how they can read. So they're saying if you want the children to do well in their academic performance, we need to emphasize on the reading skill, because sometimes children, they can get a wrong answer because they do not get the question. It's like that their response is it also goes wrong. So we want children to understand the text. In so doing, they will be able to respond appropriately or accordingly because they have understood the question. They are also saying that early literacy impacts cognitive development, social emotions skills, and language abilities. It enhances their memory as they are engaged in reading. You find that the ways that you learned in primary school, how to pronounce other ways, you continue with the same. Even if you are reading in a newspaper or a magazine, but if you come across the same words, you'll be able to read them properly. But if in your infancy you were trained wrongly on how to pronounce those words, you continue with that wrong pronunciation because that's how you were trained. So it will be difficult for children to change. So we have to be very, very accurate in teaching the children in preschool so that whatever we are planting in them, it has to be a good thing, not something that is not going to be good. And they will take it seriously no matter what. I remember my child, I was telling her how to write a certain number, but she insisted it was a homework and they wanted the parents to be involved on that kind of homework. But the way how I knew that when we are training a child how to write, we need to start from left to right. But the way how she was doing a shortcut. Then I said, no, this is not how we write number 8. But mommy, my teacher said I should write this. So then she was writing the 2 zeros, joining the 2 zeros to make 8. Then I said, no, this is not how we write number 8. But my teacher said, so the children will take what the teacher says. And even the parents, they know that this is true, but because the teacher told her or told him that this is how you have to do it, that child will take that. So if the educators, they don't know, they will also pass wrong information to the learners. And it will be difficult to erase that kind of information in their head because they will take that whatever the teacher says is the best. You see? So we have to really be careful when we are teaching these little words. So they're saying foundational reading skills. If you want children to read, we need to involve them in phonemic awareness, ability to hear and manipulate sounds in words. Phonemic awareness. Do we know a phonemic awareness? Do you know phonemic awareness? Okay. Have we ever heard about phonics? What is phonics? Letters? It deals with letters. Okay. On phonemic awareness, in alphabet, there are letters A to Z. Yeah? These are called alphabet letters. Okay? So when you are teaching the learners, we don't teach the alphabet letters. We teach the phonics because it's the phonics that help the child to read, not the alphabet letters. So if you say this is A, yeah? Okay, there's this word, okay? Okay, this in alphabet, what is this letter? This one, this one. So if you are teaching in the alphabet, if the children, they should read this word, how are they going to read the word? You said this is C. Did you say cat? In alphabet, you said this is what? C. This one A. This one T. Now let's read using the alphabet. C. C8. It's not coming out cat. Why? You are not using the phonics. You are using alphabet. So when you are using alphabet, it will confuse the head of children because they will know in their head that teacher said that is C. That is A. That is T. So to join the words, it will be difficult. But when you teach phonics, in phonics, this is not going to be C. It will be K. This is A. This is T. Okay? So when they are joined, cat, mawa jakabwera. Mosavuta sakavutikira so because muntu mwake azikapanga join akamba nokutenga phonics jananga see where you train that child kuti these are the phonics sounds. So if you turn this is a, ba, ka, da, e, fa. So she will be thinking in her head, oh, that one is a, oh, that one is k, that one is a, then cat. Mawa jakatani akaturuka bwino bwino. If you give her these words, ukamuza kuti uyu ndi M, uyu ndi A, uyu ndi T, akavutika kutani kuwerenga. But this one is M. This is A, T, ma, T. Akabwera bwino bwino. Will come out because the child you train her in phonics. Wamuphunzitsa phonics, it will be easy to connect. But if you teach alphabet, for him or her to read the words, it will be difficult. You see? That's why they're saying phonemic awareness. Teachers, they should be able to help children to learn how to pronounce the words. They should be able to manipulate the sounds in words. So apart from that, they are also saying vocabulary, understand and using a variety of words. In so doing, we are also helping children in laying the foundation in reading. That's why when we are teaching new words that the children they have never heard in their life, you need to tell them the meaning. What does that word mean? In so doing, you are enhancing their vocabulary. You need also to comprehension. They're saying on ability to understand, interpret what is read. So when you are reading, maybe you read a story. When you are asking them questions, you are help them to be able to comprehend to the story that you read, to be able to interpret or understand the stories, what they read or what you read, so that they should be able to respond to your questions. So that will help you to see that if the children have understood the story or not. So on phonemic awareness in preschools, phonemic awareness is a strong predictor of reading success. Activities like rhyming, segment sounds, and playing sound games enhance phonemic awareness. So there are some words that they have rhyming words, but they are not meaning this. Their meaning is not the same. Okay? Like the way how I wrote these words. Okay? If you read cat, mat, but, they have a rhyming words. At the end, it's ending the same. But the meaning is not the same. So when you are praying with these words like this, it also enhances them to be able to achieve the phonemic awareness. So they are also saying that we need also to incorporate games, daily games that focus on sounds and words so that they can strengthen their skills in reading. So you can have games like maybe having papers written in small words, like 3-letter words, and you sing a song with them. After the song stops, you ask one child to go and pick a letter or a word on the card and should be able to read that word. So in so doing, it will enhance the children participation and also be able to learn how to read. If you make a mistake, then you'll be able to correct the child accordingly. So you can be able to incorporate on the daily games. So in so doing, the child will be able to learn how to read. So I'll share you a video that is, I think I have shared on the group. You saw that one. So that video is there to help you on how you should be able to pronounce the sounds of the letters. Those A, B, C, D, they are names of those letters, but we use the sounds to teach the children on how they should read. Okay. So on the vocabulary development, Labstam vocabulary helps children understand and engage with the text. Regularly introduce new ways through conversation, reading, and play. Use descriptive language and encourage children to ask about unfamiliar words. So on the vocabulary development, being that they are too young, they don't know a lot of words, they don't know their meaning. Whenever you introduce some new words to them, there is need for the teacher to explain the meaning of those words to them. So this can be enhanced as they are reading, or you want them to memorize a certain thing. Before they memorize, make sure that all the difficult words which are there, you have managed to explain their meaning before they memorize. That enhances them to understand what they're meaning, what is its meaning, what they're memorizing, so that they should be able to share their understanding to others. They also ask them to share unfamiliar ways. If in the story or you are writing something, they don't know their meaning, you should also give them opportunity to ask you the meaning of those words so that they should be clear to them. That's why you find in primary English books, any story or any passage which is there, they put at the beginning of the story some difficult words which are there. So the purpose is to enhance this vocabulary development in children. They should be able to understand some of the difficult words which are in that story before the story is read. Or sometimes they can be shared after the story is read so that they should be able to understand the meaning of that story. So it's there for that purpose to add the vocabulary, to develop their vocabulary. So another one is building comprehension skill. Comprehension involves understanding the meaning of the text and making connections. Encourage children to predict what will happen next in a story. Ask questions about the story to enhance understanding and recall. So for us to enhance, to build these comprehension skills, when we read the story, we need to give them opportunities for the children, maybe to give their own opinion on how the story should be ending. In so doing, it will be able to enhance their comprehension skills. Sorry, class. So they are also saying that we need also sometimes to ask questions about the story to enhance understanding and recall. Or if you are giving them the chance of retelling the story, that means you are helping them to build the comprehension skills, because it will be involving them to remember what was the story all about, so that they can be able to retell that story. Reading skills readiness. Reading readiness refers to the stage when a child is prepared to learn to read. So in a preschool, reading readiness is a stage of from 4 to 6 years old. That is a readiness group. It's a group where we are preparing them to read. So the activities that we are going to do with them, it has to start preparing them how to read. So indicators include interest in books, ability to focus and recognize letters and sounds. Activities like telling story, singing alphabet songs, and playing with letter blocks support readiness. So what you need to do as a teacher to enhance this reading readiness skill, is to have activities that will help the children to prepare them to read. For example, if you give them a book with pictures, and you ask them the questions to share what they are seeing on that book, that means you are preparing them to read. If you are giving them a chance to recognize the letters and sounds, randomly, what sound is this? If they are able to recognize that, that means you are preparing them to read. Because if you just train them to know just in order, the way how the letters are arranged, one day if you mix up, you find that they are not able to do, that means they did not understand those things. But to show that they have really understood that, we need even sometimes to give them opportunity randomly to share that the letter sounds. Sometimes they're also saying activities like storytelling, singing alphabet songs, and playing with the letter blocks support readiness. So if you are singing alphabet songs, you are preparing them to read. You can also engage them to make words using the letters. So what you can do, Kodesh, you can have my letters, the letters, A, B, C, D up to Z. Maybe you can have the set of letter A, maybe 4, 4 or 3, 3. Even other set of alphabet letters as well. Cut them into small pieces. Then you just want to pray with them to come up with their own words. So they take a letter and another letter, they join to make a word. So it will be like in a game, but at the same time, it's helping them to learn how to read. So this is one activity that we can do in preparing the children to read. Sometimes you can also indicate stickers of the items that are in your classroom. For example, you have a board and you write a letter, you write words that shows board. You write words that shows table. You write a word that shows a chair, and you paste on the chair. So that will help a child to read. Oh, he knows that that is a chair. But having seen the words chair on that chair, it will be helping that child to read, because every time he will be able to start reading before saying that this is a chair. The same as with the door. You can just stick the word door. Slowly by slowly, the child will be able now to learn how to read the word door, because he or she is able to see the word door on that door. So it's another activity that you can also help the children to prepare them to read the things. We need also to promote reading readiness. They're saying reading readiness can be nurtured through engaging and interactive activities. Use play-based learning to introduce concepts like letters and sounds. So we need to make sure that we can engage the reading through games. Read books with repetitive and rhyming text to build familiarity with language patterns. So you find that some books, they have the rhyming words, like the ones that we saw there, that cat, mat, but, those are the rhyming words. So you can have books that have that kind of repetitive words, or the words that have got the rhyming words. In so doing, it will also promote reading readiness in children. Develop interest in reading. A love for reading can be cultivated from an early age. So for this to be achieved, we need to have books. Without books, can it be easy for children to love reading? No. We need to have a variety of books that match children's interest and development stages. So we need to be providing the different books that matches their interests. We need also to create a reading corner, or make reading a daily enjoyable activity. In a classroom, make sure that you have a reading corner, so that you should make reading as enjoyable activity. For this to be enjoyable, you need also to be changing the books. Not the same books for the whole year. Change frequently. Every week, bring new books. Every week, bring new books. In so doing, it will motivate children to read, because they will know that when they go on that corner, they will not find the same books. This week, they will see other books. Next week, they will see. It also depends with the theme that you are teaching on that particular week. So sometimes also you need also to find the books that will suit the theme that you are teaching on that particular day or particular week. In so doing, that will mean it will also enhance their understanding on the theme that they are learning. For example, if you are talking about the theme you are teaching them is about transport, you can have other books, but you need also to make sure that they should have books that talks about different transport. So in so doing, they can be able to connect what you taught them and what they are reading on that corner. We can also have interactive reading techniques. How can we do these interactive reading techniques? Kadesh, how can we have interactive reading techniques?
By engaging children and help them understand.
By engaging the children and help them to understand the text. For example, you are reading a story. Okay? The story is talking about transport. But you don't have, you have materials that can help or understand, enhance children to understand a certain type of transport. And maybe because that kind of transport is not locally available in their community. But for you to understand, for you to help children to understand that concept, you need to bring the text or the book that talks about that kind of transport. For example, maybe you're talking about a tractor, yeah, as type of the transport that also are found in other communities. This is a road transport. But if you are bringing the book to your classroom and you ask, what can you see here? They may say their names which is not the tractor, but at the end you help them to understand that is a tractor. So you are not just reading alone, but you are also engaging them. You are asking their opinion to share what they can see on that particular book. So in so doing, it's becoming interactive reading. You want them to share their views on what they can see on that picture. In so doing, that reading should be interactive. It's not only you saying, but the children also, they are able to share their opinion on that particular text that you are reading with them. Okay, so you need to have that kind of like the picture books. Most of the picture books they are designed so that you can have interactive reading with children. Before you read the story, you ask children, what can you see on this page? Then they share their views on what they are seeing. Then you add other information based on the written information which is there. There are also in interactive reading techniques, we can also encourage children to retell the story in their own words. Like the way how you said to your little. Did you try to ask the children to retell the story? You should try. The children, they should also retell the same story. So in so doing, you are engaging them in interactive reading. Storytelling and reading. Storytelling helps children develop language and narrative skills. Is this true? Storytelling helps children develop language and narrative skills. Is this true? How? How can the storytelling develop language and narrative skills?
As the teacher is giving the story, or telling the story to the class, to the children, then as they are paying attention to what the teacher is saying them, they will be given a chance to tell a story, maybe the same story, or maybe a different one. There they will develop the skills of telling more stories, narrating.
And at the same time, developing language.
Language.
Okay? You find maybe the way how you are going to narrate that story, you are using other words, but the child, when he is retelling the same story, she may use other words which we never used in that story. So in so doing, you are also enhancing the language development in that child. Okay? So they're saying we need to encourage children to tell their own stories, which foster creativity and language use. We need to engage children to tell their stories. They can retell the stories, the same stories that we shared, but sometimes we can also give them opportunity to tell their own stories. So in so doing, it also helps them to foster the creativity and language use. Since stories, you need also to learn the techniques of narrating the story. You remember that you need to tell the story in an interesting way, using the gestures, with changing the voices, not be fast, not too slow, so that students, they should be able to get. So even them, if they are engaged in narrating the story, they will be able now to acquire the same skills on how they should narrate the story, not too fast, not too slow, and also using some gestures so that they can help children to understand certain concepts that are there. Create a printing-rich environment. When we want children to develop this reading skill, we need to create a place where there are a lot of books that will help children to read books. So they're saying a print-rich environment surrounds children with written language. Readable objects in a classroom display words well, and have tools ready available. Encourage children to interact with print in their environment. So in your classroom, it shouldn't just be plain like the way how this classroom it is. It has to be well labeled with a lot of words. So you can label the materials that are in a classroom. You can also have the wall on the reading corner should be displayed with different vocabularies, words on the wall. So if you know that now they are familiar with these words, you change, you put other words. So in so doing, it's also enhancing their reading skills. When that they go on that wall, on that corner, they're not only based on reading the actual books, but the environment, the materials that are surrounding them, they are empowering them to read. They are motivating them to check other ways which are there, which maybe they have never heard in their lives. In so doing, we are also enhancing their reading skill in them. So you might find that they'll be able to help each other on that corner without you, but children themselves, they'll be able to assist each other that, no, this is how we say these words. We don't say like that. They'll be able to correct each other. In so doing, we are also creating social or relationship among the students as they are engaged on that reading corner. They also select reading materials. So what motivates a child to read is the image. They'll be attracted to see the things that, oh, I see this, oh, I see this. That is motivating a child. So the books are engaging a child to read because of the pictures. So if you just bring a book with just words without picture, the child will just throw that book away. Because there's not something that is engaging him or her with his age. So looking at the age, we need to think about, are the books engaging them to read? Are they age appropriate? Because if you bring in baby class the books without any picture, do you think babies can be attracted to those kind of books? They will not, because they're not talking to them. The books are not creating the opportunity for them to go and continue reading because they don't have pictures. So we need to use age appropriate. So on age appropriate, you have to make sure that based on the age, you make sure that you are putting the books that you fall under that age. For example, they're saying the picture book. Which age should you be engaging with the picture book? 1 to 2. Huh? 1 to 2, huh? The picture books. Yes. With hard cardboard. Huh? The aim is to help children to be able to flip the papers without challenges. But if you put the books that have got soft papers in baby books, instead of flipping the pages properly, you find that they are tearing the pages. So the books cannot be there for a week. Within 2 days, you find that the book is gone. So when you are looking at the age appropriate, you need also to consider those areas that if I'm dealing with babies, I have to look at the cardboard books, the books that has a thick page, so that it should be easy to be flipped by the children. There are also cultural relevance. Why cultural relevance?
they should know all sorts of culture
Mhm.
and how to preserve.
Okay. So you find that you are given books. You need also to check this recommended with your culture. You can bring books that talks about pornography in elementary school. Is it age appropriate? Culturally, is it good for those children? It's not. So when we are selecting the books, we have to make sure that what is in the books is also recommended to our culture, so that we should continue preserving it. So they are also saying that include a variety of genres such as fiction and non-fiction poetries and picture books. You shouldn't just have one variety of books. Have variety of books in fiction and non-fiction stories books or picture books in your classroom. Consider the diversity of your students and select books that reflect their experience. Consider the diversity of your students and select books that reflect their experience. What do they want to say here? Or what can be example?
The books,
If you have a class, the class you have the Chinese, you have the black people, the English people there. It's a diverse class of different cultures. So when you are bringing the books, when you are selecting the books, you need to bring books that talks about all the cultures, so that all children should feel welcomed in that classroom. But if you bring just books, just talks about only one culture, then children will not be happy. So you need to bring the diversity of different cultures so that they can reflect their experience. They talk about their culture in their homes, but if you are not talking in a classroom, then they'll go and report it to school. But our teacher was saying this, which is contrary to what they believe. It's like you are not promoting their culture. So there was another example, another book shared that on cultural relevance. You have a Muslims in your class, and Muslims they hate uh, pigs. And you have in your study or corner, on your reading corner, books that talks about more about pigs. The pigs they did this. You think children when they go to their parents will be happy hearing the stories about pigs? Then they can withdraw their children from that school. Because what you are teaching is not what they are promoting in their home. So you have to be very, very sensitive that you should be able to know the background of the children in your classroom. So that when you are selecting the books, it has to be cultural relevance. It has to be considered. Otherwise, children can withdraw, or parents can withdraw their children from the school if you are promoting a certain culture which is contrary to what they believe. So, what else would we need to know when we are selecting reading materials? They are also talking about age appropriate. For younger preschoolers, choose books with simple text, repetition, and bright illustrations. They should have pictures which are bright that they can be able to see. You should have the books that have got repetitive information. So this is for younger preschoolers, like the toddlers, the 2 to 3, the 1 to 2 years or to 3 years. But for the older preschoolers, the 4 to 5 years or 6 years, we can they can handle more complex stories with richer vocabulary and plots. So the type of information that the preschoolers, the older preschoolers need to have it should be different from the younger preschoolers. You remember that in the 2 to 3 years old, they need to have more illustrations and few text. Or sometimes they can have the word-based books. Yeah. Because of their age. Just looking at the pictures, they can come up with their own stories. They don't need to read. But for the 4 years, or 5 years, or 6 years, they need a challenging, a complex stories. Because at this age, we know that the phonemic awareness that we are talking about, you remember, phonics by age of 4 years, 1 out of 5 years at the nursery school, has to be familiar with phonics. As a child, you should be familiar with phonics so that he or she can start now reading at his own without the help of the teacher. So ensure that books are developmentally appropriate to keep children interested and challenged. Children should be having more interest to read. We need to bring the books that can help them to challenge their development interest. Introducing nursery rhymes and poems. Nursery rhymes and poems are excellent tools for developing rhyming, line, and vocabulary. So we need to introduce nursery rhymes to the children. Like 1, 2, bag on 2, 3, 4. It's a nursery rhyme. But what is it helping children? It's the rhyming words. But they are also learning vocabulary. So repetition of the lines helps children memory and language development. If the children are helped, they are engaged in the nursery rhymes. They are also helped in the memory and language development. Sing one nursery rhyme. Timba when you was nursery. Head and shoulders, knees and toes. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, arms and elbows, knees and toes, arms and elbows, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose, arms and elbows, knees and toes. First, now we are going to increase the speed. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, head and shoulders, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, arms and elbows, knees and toes, arms and elbows, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Arms and elbows, knees and toes. So we have also another nursery rhyme that talks about rhyming. Here comes number 1, rhyming like a kangaroo. La 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 la, la 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 la. Here comes number 2, rhyming like a number 2 is like kangaroo. Then number 3 is a chimpanzee. Then number 4 is a lion wrong. Number 5 is dancing jive. So they have certain rhyming ways that talks about the number. So that's also another song that talks about the nursery rhymes. And the other one is the caterpillar. 1 little, 2 little, 3 caterpillars, 4 little, 5 little, 6 caterpillar, 7 little, 8 little, 9 caterpillar, 10 caterpillars going on the branch. So there is some repetitions of words. One little, two little, three caterpillars, four little, five little, six caterpillars, seven little, eight little, nine caterpillars, 10 caterpillars growing on the branch. Ndio umeiwezesha asubuhi. 10 little, 9 little, 8 caterpillars, 7 little, 6 little, 5 caterpillars, 4 little, 3 little, 2 caterpillars, 1 caterpillar growing on the branch. So that enhances your memory as well. You see, the child has to memorize the numbers, the order of numbers as they are seen, they are able to follow that. At descending or ascending, they should be able to follow that. And so doing increasing their memory. So the nursery lines that are there, they are generated to do that. At the same time, they're also developing language as they're singing. It's enhancing their language in children. Incorporating songs in reading activities, songs help children remember language patterns and build phonemic awareness. Singing familiar songs with the focus of lyrics helps with sounds, recognition, and vocabulary. Incorporating movement in songs to make learning multisensory. So if you can think about the head and shoulders and knees and toes, it's a kind of a song that is incorporating movement in a song. At the same time, you are not only doing one activity in the child movement, but you are doing a lot of things. You find that the language, the physical, the cognitive, the social, as they are doing that, at the end, everyone will feel happy. They will be enjoying. The emotions, they will be happy when they are doing that type of singing the song. So we need to incorporate songs into reading activities. So sometimes when we are reading, you can also make it fun by helping children to learn to read. The same as the way how we train them when we are helping them how to write the letters. You also put some stories. You can also put the, the songs. For example, you want them to do the writing patterns. For example, these writing patterns. You want children to learn how to join these writing patterns. But when they are doing this, you are preparing the children to write the letters. They will be the watching. W, M. They will learn how to write letter M. They will learn how to write letter V. They will learn how to write the W by just following this pattern. But for children to go up and down, like in these patterns, sometimes they feel bored. They will hate it. For you to make it interesting, you can make it a story. Once upon a time, there was a guy who was climbing the mountain. So he was climbing up, and going down. He was climbing up, and going. So as you are doing that, you are like you are narrating a story that the grandmother was climbing this hill, up and down, up and down, up and down. So as you are doing up and down, up and down, up and down, climbing the hills up and down, the child feel enjoying doing that activity. Because you are incorporating as a story, you are bringing something like a story that the grandmother was doing something, going up and down, up and down, up and down. If you are introducing this in children, you can also bring a story. This is Jack. But we say one day the grand lost her walking stick. So she found it and this is how she did it. So in so doing, you are also introducing a fun way of children to learn how to write the letters. But you are incorporating a story when you are introducing that, so that the children they should feel participating in writing that. So we have to be very creative by coming up with different methods or ways on how we can attract the attention of your children to enjoy the activity that we are doing. So you can do that activity with them. Share reading practices. Shared reading involves reading aloud together, typically with a group of children. Use big books or projected text so all children can see the words and pictures. Encourage participation by asking questions and inviting children to the reading the story. So the shared reading practices, if you have the capacity that you can use a projector, then you can bring your computer and put the words there, then everyone will be able to see the words using on the projector. But sometimes you can use books. In school, there are also big books that can allow a big number of children to be able to see the pictures. Unlike having the other books that are small and you have a class of 50 and you have a small book, you find that few learners will be able to see from that book, but the rest will not see anything. So based on the age or the size of your classroom, you need also to think about what size of the book should I use so that everyone should be able to see from that book. Because we want to have the shared reading practices. So guiding reading in preschool, guided reading in a small group approach where children read text at their instruction level. Teachers provide support to help children develop strategies for reading independently. Books are carefully chosen to match the reading ability of the group. So on this one is now the guiding reading in preschool. You have the reading corner. There is the place where a child can go and read independently, not with the teacher or with the fellow classroom. So when he goes there, he has to choose what kind of a book is going to be independently. So our duty as the educators is to go and see what is the child reading and help and assist where we feel that the child needs the help. But we should make sure that we should choose the books that are what? That matches the reading ability of the children. We find on this guided reading books, maybe even the children maybe who are not participating when you are having your reading stories, but when they go there, we find that they are more active because the children are different. Some are extroverts, introverts, others are introverts. So those that doesn't like talking, but when they go to that, because it's independent work, you find that they are more involved than maybe having a group activity. So you also give them opportunity to be able to show their potentials in that way. Encouraging independent reading. Independent reading allows children to explore books on their own, create a comfortable space with a variety of books for independent reading, provide time every day for children to engage in self-selected reading. So when you find that you see the timetable of the preschool, to engage a timetable that everyone should be engaged in reading, you may find that maybe children be participating. But because you have the reading corner and other areas, and that time we give you almost 1 hour, 30 minutes. So the purpose of giving a long time for children to be engaging in reading corner is to allow children to participate at least in each and every corner, not just focusing on only one corner. so that by the end of the day, the child is also engaged in a reading activity. If you see that children are not going there, so it's our duty as teachers to encourage that I've seen Kodeshi have been sitting here on this fantasy corner for a long time. Can you try go and play on that corner? So that you are